The air in hollow pines carried a weight that clung to your skin, a damp chill that seeped into your bones no matter how many layers you wore. The town sat nestled in a forgotten corner of northern Michigan, surrounded by dense forests of pine and birch that seemed to swallow sound, leaving only a faint hum of silence. It was the kind of place where secrets didn't just hide, they festered, growing roots in the shadows of the towering trees. The main road, cracked and uneven, wound through a scattering of clapboard houses, a diner with flickering neon, and a gas station that hadn't updated its pumps since the 1970s. Most folks who lived here were born here, and most who were born here never left. Those who did rarely came back. And when they did, they brought stories. Stories of things that didn't make sense, of moments that felt like they belonged to someone else's life. I was one of the few who returned. My name is Clara Voss, and in the summer of 2023, I came back to Hollow Pines after a decade away, chasing a job at the local library and a chance to escape the noise of Chicago. I was 32, single, and tired of the city's relentless pulse. Hollow Pines, with its slow rhythm and familiar streets, seemed like a place to start over. My mother still lived in the house I grew up in, a sagging two-story with peeling white paint and a porch that groaned underfoot. She'd warned me not to come back, her voice low over the phone like she was afraid someone might overhear. "This place hasn't changed, Clara," she said. "It's still got its claws." I laughed it off. I thought she was being dramatic, clinging to old superstitions about the town's bad luck. I was wrong. It started small, the way these things always do. My first week back, I was unpacking boxes in the library's basement, sorting through dusty tomes and yellowed newspapers. The library was a squat brick building on the edge of town, its windows clouded with grime, its shelves sagging under the weight of books no one read anymore. The air down there smelled of mildew and old paper, and the fluorescent lights buzzed like dying insects. I was alone, or so I thought, when I felt it, a prickle at the back of my neck, like someone was standing just behind me. I turned, expecting to see Mrs. Hargrove, the head librarian, but the room was empty. Then came the sound, a soft, deliberate creak, like a footstep on the wooden floors above. I froze, my hand hovering over a stack of books. The creak came again, slow and measured, moving toward the basement stairs. I called out, my voice sharper than I intended. "Hello? Mrs. Hargrove?" No answer, just the hum of the lights and the faint drip of a leaky pipe somewhere in the walls. I climbed the stairs, my sneakers squeaking on the worn steps, and found the main floor empty. The front door was locked, the windows undisturbed. I told myself it was nothing, an old building settling, a trick of the mind. But as I went back to the basement, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd lived this moment before. Not just the sound, but the way the air felt heavy, the way my pulse quickened, the way the shadows seemed to shift just out of sight. It was déjà vu, but sharper, like a memory I hadn't earned. That night, I drove home under a sky bruised with storm clouds. The road was narrow, flanked by pines that leaned inward, their branches scraping the roof of my car. I kept the radio off, letting the silence fill the space. My mother was waiting on the porch when I pulled up. Her arms crossed, her grey hair pulled back in a tight bun. She didn't ask about my day, just handed me a mug of tea and said, "You look like you've seen something." I shrugged, not wanting to admit how unsettled I felt. But as I sipped the tea, bitter with chamomile, I noticed her eyes darting to the trees, like she was waiting for something to step out of them. The next day, the feeling came back stronger. I was shelving books in the library's fiction section when a man walked in. He was tall, maybe in his late 40s, with a face weathered by sun and wind. His jacket was patched at the elbows, and his boots left faint mud tracks on the linoleum. He didn't browse or ask for help, just stood by the window, staring out at the street. I approached him, my customer service smile in place. "Can I help you find something?" I asked. He turned, his eyes a pale grey that seemed to look through me. "You're new," he said, his voice low, like he was stating a fact he'd known for years. "But I've seen you here before." I laughed, thinking he was joking. "First week on the job," I said. "You must be thinking of someone else." He didn't smile, just nodded slowly, like he was confirming something to himself. "Maybe," he said. "But I remember you. Right here. Same time of day." He tapped the window frame, then Déjà walked out without another word. I stood there, my skin prickling again, the déjà vu swelling like a tide. I hadn't been in Hollow Pines in 10 years. There was no way he could have seen me here. But his words stuck, burrowing into my thoughts like splinters. That night, I dreamed of the library. Not the one I worked in, but a version of it. Darker, the shelves warped and leaning, the air thick with dust. I was standing in the basement, holding a book I didn't recognize, its pages blank but heavy in my hands. The creak came again, louder this time, and a shadow moved across the wall. A human shape, but wrong, its edges blurred, like it was made of smoke. I woke up gasping. My bedroom bathed in moonlight, the clock reading 3:17 a.m. I didn't sleep again that night. Over the next week, the déjà vu grew relentless. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a certainty, a script I was following without knowing the lines. I'd walk into the diner and know the waitress would spill coffee on the counter before she did. I'd pass a neighbor on the street and predict the exact words of their greeting. At the library, I started noticing patterns. Books I swore I'd shelved reappearing in the wrong place. Pages dog-eared in patterns I recognized but couldn't place. I began writing it all down in a notebook, trying to make sense of it. The entries grew frantic, scrawled in the margins. Knew Mrs. Hargrove would drop her pen at 2:14 p.m. She did. Heard the creak again. Same spot, same time. Man in the jacket was back. Said he remembered me again. I confided in my mother one evening, sitting at the kitchen table with its chipped formica surface. The house smelled of old wood and the faint lavender of her soap. She listened, her face pale, her fingers twisting a dish towel. When I finished, she didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she said, "You need to be careful, Clara. This town, it holds on to things. Memories, people, mistakes. They don't let go." I pressed her for more, but she shook her head, her lips tight. "Just don't go looking for answers in the woods," she said. "Not alone." The woods. Everyone in Hollow Pines had stories about them. Kids said they were haunted by old miners who died in cave-ins a century ago. Older folks whispered about lights flickering between the trees at night, about voices that weren't human. I'd never believed those stories as a kid. But now, with the déjà vu clawing at me, I wasn't so sure. I started noticing things on my drives home. A shadow moving just beyond the tree line. A flicker of light that vanished when I turned my head. One night, I swore I saw a figure standing on the road. Its outline human but too still, like it was waiting for me to stop. I didn't. I floored the gas and didn't look back. 2 weeks into my job, I found something in the library's basement that changed everything. I was sorting through a box of donated books when I came across a journal. Its leather cover cracked and faded. The pages were brittle, the ink smudged, but the handwriting was legible. It belonged to someone named Eliza Marrow, dated 1973. The entries started innocently enough. Notes about daily life in Hollow Pines, the weather, the library where she worked. But as I read on, they grew stranger. I keep seeing things I shouldn't know. She wrote, "Moments I've lived before, but not in this life. The woods are calling me. I hear my name at night." One entry stopped me cold. "There's a clearing out there, past the old oak with the split trunk. I saw it in a dream, and then I found it. There's something buried there. Something that remembers me. I don't want to go back, but I know I will." The final entry was dated October 12th, 1973. "I'm going tonight. If I don't come back, tell them it wasn't an accident." There was nothing else. No record of Eliza Marrow in the library's files. No mention of her in the town's archives. But I knew that oak tree. It was a mile into the woods behind my mother's house, its trunk split by lightning when I was a kid. I didn't tell anyone about the journal. Not my mother, not Mrs. Hargrove, not even my old friend Lana, who worked at the diner and always had a story to tell. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. The déjà vu was getting worse, bleeding into every part of my day. I'd walk into a room and know where every object was, even if I'd never been there before. I'd hear a voice in my head, soft and insistent, whispering my name. And every night, the dream came back. The warped library, the blank book, the shadow on the wall. Sometimes it spoke, its voice a low hum that vibrated in my chest. "You've been here before?" it said. "You'll come back?" I decided to find the clearing. It was a reckless choice, but the journal felt like a map, and the déjà vu felt like a guide. I waited until Saturday, when the library was closed, and packed a backpack with a flashlight, a knife, and a bottle of water. I told my mother I was going for a hike, ignoring the way her eyes narrowed. The woods were quiet that morning, the air thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. I found the oak tree easily, its split trunk looming like a fractured bone. From there, I followed a faint path, barely more than a deer trail, deeper into the forest. The clearing was exactly as Eliza had described. A circle of bare earth, maybe 30 feet across, ringed by pines that seemed to lean inward, their branches forming a canopy that blocked the sun. The ground was unnaturally smooth, free of grass or weeds, like it had been swept clean. In the center was a stone, flat and grey, half buried in the dirt. I knelt beside it, my heart pounding, and brushed away the soil. Beneath the dirt was a carving, a spiral, its lines deep and precise, like it had been etched with a machine. I traced it with my finger, and the déjà vu hit me so hard I nearly fell over. I knew this place. I'd stood here before, touched this stone, felt this exact moment, but I hadn't. Not in this life. I started digging. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe? Or the pull of the déjà vu? The soil was loose, easier to move than I expected. A foot down, my fingers hit something hard. It was a metal box, rusted but intact, about the size of a shoebox. My hands shook as I pried it open. Inside were papers, photographs, and a small cloth pouch. The papers were letters, written in Eliza's handwriting, addressed to no one. They described dreams, visions, moments she'd lived before. One letter mentioned a man in a patched jacket, Someone who watched her from the library windows. Someone who knew her before she knew herself. The photographs were grainy, black and white, showing the clearing, the stone, and a figure standing at the edge of the trees. It was too blurry to make out details, but the shape was familiar. Too familiar. The pouch held a locket, silver and tarnished, with a tiny photograph inside. It was a woman, young, with sharp cheekbones and dark eyes. I didn't recognize her, but I felt like I should. As I held it, the air in the clearing shifted, growing colder, heavier. The trees seemed to lean closer, their branches creaking like old bones. I heard my name, not in my head this time, but out loud, a whisper carried on the wind. I dropped the locket, my breath catching in my throat. The ground beneath me seemed to pulse, like a heartbeat, and for a moment, I saw it. A flash of another life, another me, standing in the same clearing, holding the same locket, hearing the same whisper. Then it was gone, and I was alone again. I took the box and ran. The woods felt alive now, the shadows moving, the air pressing against me. When I got home, my mother was waiting, her face pale. "You went to the clearing," she said. Not a question. I nodded, too shaken to lie. She took the box from me, her hand steady, and burned it in the backyard without a word. The flames devoured the papers, the photographs, the locket, sending black smoke curling into the sky. "Some things aren't meant to be found," she said when it was done. "Not by you, not by anyone." But it wasn't over. The déjà vu didn't stop. If anything, it got worse. I started seeing the man in the patched jacket everywhere. At the diner, the gas station, the library. He never spoke, just watched, his grey eyes locking onto mine like he was waiting for something. I started dreaming of the clearing, of the stone, of the spiral. In the dreams, I wasn't alone. There was a woman, the one from the locket, standing beside me. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. "You've been here before. You'll come back." I tried to leave Hollow Pines. I packed my car, booked a ticket back to Chicago, told my mother I was done. But the night before I was supposed to go, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. The air in my room thick with the smell of pine. The front door was open, the woods calling my name. I don't remember deciding to go. I just did. I walked back to the clearing, barefoot, the ground cold against my skin. The stone was there, the spiral glowing faintly in the moonlight. I knelt beside it, my hands moving on their own, digging again. This time, there was no box, just dirt, endless dirt, and a voice in my head that wasn't mine. "You're close," it said. "You've always been close." I don't know how long I dug. Hours, maybe. The sun was rising when I stopped, my hands raw, my body shaking. There was nothing there, but I felt it, the weight of another life, another me, pressing against this one. I went back home, packed my things, and left Hollow Pines that day. I didn't say goodbye to my mother. I didn't look back. I'm in Chicago now, living in a high-rise with too many lights and too much noise. The déjà vu hasn't followed me, but sometimes when I close my eyes, I see the clearing, the stone, the spiral. I hear the whisper of my name. I keep the notebook from Hollow Pines, its pages filled with moments I shouldn't know. I don't read it anymore, but I can't bring myself to throw it away. Part of me believes that if I go back, if I stand in that clearing again, I'll find what I was looking for. Or it'll find me. The truth is, I don't know what happened in Hollow Pines. Maybe it was the town, the woods, the stone. Maybe it was me, carrying something I didn't understand, but I know this. Some places don't let go. They hold on to you, their roots deep in your bones, their memories bleeding into yours. And sometimes, when you think you've escaped, you realize you're just living the same moment again, waiting for the ending you've already seen.